Hey guys, what's up? This is your girl Tiffany Michelle. Welcome back to my channel, guys. I want to tell you the story of how I overcame homelessness. I know there's a lot of people out there right now today who are homeless and don't have no home, nowhere to go to, and my heart goes out to the ones who are homeless. My story is a little different though. I believe there's different types of homelessness. There's people who are homeless who literally live under a bridge, sleeping in parks and stuff like that, eating out trash cans and dumpsters and stuff like that. There's different parts. My type of homeless is I stayed in shelters, and I stayed in relatives' houses, friends' houses, and stuff like that. But on with the story of how I became homeless. How I overcame homeless. Okay. So, back in 2008, back in 2008, when I was pregnant with my daughter, my mama, we lost our house. The house went into foreclosure. We lost the house, and I was pregnant, and I stayed with a friend after we lost the house for a little while, and that was basically the beginning of me being homeless and pregnant. After I stayed with a friend, I stayed with my sister for a little bit while I was pregnant. I think I stayed with my sister most of the time. Oh, I stayed with my mom's boyfriend at the time, his mother. I slept in the bed with his mother. We shared a bed. She was a nice, sweet old lady and stuff like that. So I slept in the bed with her, and I was pregnant. I stayed there up until I gave birth to my daughter. And that was in October 2008. And I gave birth, and while I was still living there. But thankfully, my daughter was premature, so she stayed in the NICU for a month. So they gave me a little time to find a place. So my mom had found a little house that she rented from someone, and we stayed there, and stayed there for a couple of months or whatever. I think about a couple of months. I know I ended up bringing my daughter home after a month of her being in the NICU at the hospital. So I brought her home. I know we stayed there for a little while. And then my mom, she got sick. This was in 2009. My mom got sick. It was in February 2009. And my mom got sick and went into the hospital. My mom passed away in March of 2009, and so we ended up moving out of that house. That was after I had my daughter, and so I think I went to go stay with my aunt for a little while too. After that, I stayed with my aunt, and I think after I stayed with my aunt, where did I go? See, my memory is kind of fuzzy because this is a long time ago, guys. So my memory's fuzzy, so freaking fuzzy. So I'm just going along what I remember. I think I stayed with my aunt for a little while after that, because I remember staying there for a little while. I forget how long, but I know I stayed there. I had like a CPS, or what we call it here, DHR case. I had a caseworker, and she was trying to help me find places to stay and stuff like that. But it just didn't really work out. I ended up staying in a shelter. Me and my daughter ended up going staying in a shelter. My daughter had to be at least I think 7 months. No, it had to be at least like, she had to be 8 or 9 months when we stayed in the shelter. It was a women's shelter, and it was through the Salvation Army, and we stayed there for like two months. I think they give you like 3 months or something like that to stay in there. And I stayed there for 3 months, and I remember it specifically because my daughter had her first birthday in a shelter. And then I know prior to that, I know I stayed with my sister a little bit before that. I think I stayed with my sister a little bit before that, because after I moved out the shelter, I went to go stay with my sister for like a day or so. I think it was like a day. And the Salvation Army ended up paying for me and my daughter a bus trip to Detroit, Michigan, where we moved to Detroit, Michigan in like 2010, I believe. And we lived up there. We stayed with my aunt, uncle, and cousins up there for about almost a year. I want to say almost a year. And then we finally got our first apartment up there in Detroit, and I stayed there almost a year. I guess I gotta say almost. We lived in Detroit for 2 years, and I had my own little place up there. The rent was like $300 some for this little 1-bedroom apartment, but the one bedroom that the apartment had was like so freaking small that my bed wouldn't fit. And so that was my first apartment for a little while, until I kept hearing my neighbor downstairs kept telling me that the landlord wasn't passing inspections, and she was getting ready to move, and plus I had got behind on my rent. And so I was like, well, I'm just gonna move. I don't really think that was a smart decision on my behalf, to just move and just come back home here to where I live in my hometown, in Mobile, Alabama. So I don't think that was a smart move. I think I should have at least tried and stayed there, because my landlord, he was really working with me. So I pack up all my stuff and my daughter's stuff, and I left the bed and TV and all that stuff up there, and we hopped on a Greyhound. I bought a Greyhound ticket, and my friends, one of his friends took me to the bus station, took us to the bus station, and we rode the bus back down here to Mobile. All the time I was talking to my best friend, I stayed with my best friend for a little while, and we stayed with her in her apartment. And that's really when my daughter was really getting to know her daddy, her father, and his side of the family. And so that was more so alone the reason why I kind of moved back, is so my daughter can get to know his people or whatever. I wanted her to know him, and I wanted him to be able to see her on a regular basis, because I don't know, I feel kind of bad, because I felt like I was keeping her away from him, and I wanted him to have the freedom to see her whenever he wanted to, and his family too. I wanted her to be close to him and his family, just like she was close to me and my family. So I stayed there for a little bit at my friend's house, and then something happened, and she ended up losing that place and whatever, and I ended up going to stay with Marissa's dad and his mom, and we stayed there for a little while until we went into a shelter. Now this shelter was, I gotta say was a really great experience for me. This is the second shelter I stayed in. The first shelter was a good experience as well too, because I met some wonderful people there. I met some friends there.